We got green, and he's ready to go with his mouse, I'm pretty sure. Playing Ultra Bullet, the doctor. He lost his last game playing Ultra Bullet against his buddy Asios. He dropped down 100 points in Ultra Bullet with that loss. Anyhow, this is regular Bullet. 1 minute chess, Lichess Titled Arena July 19. This is where I want to be. Let's see what we get here. Aha! Jagalko, who is streaming as well. Oh, the last arena we saw a lot of G-pawn advances, so something normal, at least in this round one. No knight on f6. This guy likes to run a giant thorn on h6. Space invader pawns, too, already. Just a dozen moves in. Pressure on d4. Defense, counterpunch against the queen. Counterpunch against the queen. Again. She cooked. Is there a big problem here? She goes back to c7. What's happening? She's going to get hit again? She's getting kicked around, and now there's a problem here and here. Whoa. Space. Queenside castles nearby. Knight is under fire. Knight is defended. She can't take the knight. The rook would fall. It'd be a fork. Both queens are getting hit quite a bit. Alright. This continues. White is the better side here. The king will find it much easier getting castled. And now the light squares are soon to collapse. Take bishop c4. I don't think he could hold on to the light squares. He's looking for more. I think he could have just crashed through here and won a pawn. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because of the bishop check and then a queenside castle. And there'd be a pin. Yeah, this is a goner. Nice cozy home. This bishop can fall. And there's a skewer. You have to go here. You can't take because there'd be a pin. White is up the exchange. No. And now the queen is dead. No issues on the clock as well. That was nutty. Okay. Got the W. Round 1 in the books. Ali Reza already has 2 games in there. Okay, and who is this? An FM, nearly 2,800, has gone berserk against the doctor. Okay. Trying to undermine the strong point on d5. Opposite the queen. Landing a fork. Is that pawn going to be won? I think it's going to be won. He's giving up the queen. He's going to... I was wondering why he didn't insert this as an in-betweener. That was hitting with check. So we got a rook and a minor piece versus a queen in bounds. Really nice dark square control? Yes. You know, black will find a way to coordinate here. It's rook, pawn, and bishop versus a queen now. Oh, actually, while I was looking at these pieces, the queen fell. Rooks move backwards sometimes. Okay. Another one in the books. That's 2. With that, he's in first. Let's see who we get next. That's pretty crazy, going in berserk mode. Okay, Munir. G5. You know, I knew he was going to do that. He does that against me. This knight f3, G5. What is that about? Oh, you know what? I'm recalling a game that I don't know if it was this exact opening, but he has beaten Carlsen. Yeah, well, here it is right here. Forgetting. A 2-1 tournament. So what was that? That was the 960. Bishop here's a problem. He's winning something. Oh no, I didn't see the rook going back to defend. Very nice. Even material. These pawns are likely to fall. They're weak. One nice pawn island for white. And a pawn is goner. There is no check. The bishop covers that. Maybe wants a check. Knight f4 is amazing. How are you saving this guy? Are you able to escape? Knight takes pawn. He was checking for bishop here. Yeah, there's a way out. New square on g2. Ducks the mate. And if you step up, then there'll be a knight check followed up with the discovery. So he has to fall back a little bit. There isn't a perpetual. Yeah, he's just trying to create some air for the king. Yeah, not getting it, that guy. He's nice and cozy. Perfect shelter. Doesn't matter giving up this pawn. He's got a lot to work with. 3 pawns plus. A little bit behind on the clock, but it should not be an issue. His pawn is pushing through. No good checks here for Team Black. Game over. Back to tournament land. That's 3 wins in. Top 4, 5. Top 4 with wins. 3 wins. Ali Reza had a draw there. Let's see what we get next. First time opponent. Okay, getting a little crazy with the H-pawn. He's giving this pawn away because now he's assured activity along the H-file. Doesn't allow white to play H3 himself and kind of have a secure point. So, break in the center. This is a nice square if you can get it in. Coordinate with the knight. Not right now. There was a fork. He's eyeing that square up. Looks like you're going to get this guy right here. He could go with the in-betweener. It's on the queen. Maybe better to have placed black in a pin. Okay. Knight versus bishop imbalance. Offering a queen exchange. This pawn is defended. Queen exchange on board. Yeah, black is the better side. Better rook position. This guy's out of play. Wow. Surprised that he went for that rook exchange. Why not? Why not just go there? Seeking some simplification, I guess. He's winning a pawn. And another. They fall fast. This guy's hungry. He's up on the clock. 6 seconds. More than that. 10. 2 passers. More trades. Just get them running. 1 check. Check here and then push through. Oh. He's ready to go now. No good forks. Too great a separation. And cannot be stopped. No resigner. To the very end he's going to play. Looks to be that way. Okay. Right down to the end. No time on the clock. 4 games, 4 wins. In FM. Another first-time opponent. Let's see. The bird. The bird opening. Imbalance. Minor piece. Structure. And he's going to try to play against this guy. And just to control that square. This guy's going to have a tough time. This unopposed bishop is not contributing in this position. And now the dark squares are goner on the king's side now. Some kind of a rook lift. Isn't this going to be painful on the king's side? There are Swiss cheese over here. Holes everywhere. And the queen side. This is a goner. You don't save this. It's just how it is. Look at these guys. Spectators. Biting on a rock. Sitting in a corner. No good. We got a mate threat on g7. How are you defending this? Drop the queen back. That would drop the rook. There's more than one problem. There are holes in black's position and these two sit in them. Queen here. There'd be a check. And we got checkmate next. Rook has to block. Blistering start for the champ. 5 games, 5 wins. The chess pirate is right on his heels, tied. NM Chess Pirate 421. Who is that? Having a good tournament early on. See if you can keep that up. Zugzwang. We got Zugzwang TV. I thought for a second he was going to maybe berserk. Mr. Zugzwang. Alright. He's being greedy. Takes the c-pawn and wants to hang on to it. This knight's in a pin. This was threatened. More pressure on c3. Securing b5. After takes, there'd be an in-betweener and only then a recapture. So there is this pin. So, light squares. Black is strong on the light squares. Needs to take good care of the dark squares. This bishop is not around on this nice diagonal. These are two big gaps in Black's position, but how do you get to them? c5 break, undoubling the pawns, and at any moment there can be a passer for Black on the queen side. There it is. Black maintains excellent control over this d5 square, and I think because of that controls the game. I mean, well, he's not up a pawn anymore, but the control is there. This knight is amazing. You could get the pawn back. He's going to get that, but white emerges with a fantastic piece on d5, the bishop pointing right at the heart, Black's kingside. Now you may just not get that back, although knight takes knight in betweener. Looking for some activity. Oh, I was surprised to see a rook exchange. Oh, I missed that this was hanging in the end. So it is balanced, but now we look at king security. Black has it, white does not. Also, white does not have any time. Forget about the board. This is just game over on the clock, no? If you took the pawn, there'd be a perpetual. Check here and here. That's why there was that little delay. Okay, white in the end made it. 6 games, 6 wins. Rebecca Harris is in second. Also flawless. We're getting that pairing? No. Iturrizaga. Next opponent. Venezuela. All right. Oh, they have played quite a bit. I don't think these are all games from titled arenas. Okay, anyhow. What is this? A reverse Benoni? Seems like it. This gonna fall? Oh, there's pressure on d3. Both pawns coming under fire. What do you want to do? Take with the knight, hit the bishop. Okay, and c4 falls just like that. B pawn falls. What is going on here? Okay, you don't want to do this. Knight recaptures, then you would lose something. So this is a weak square in Black's camp. 2 pieces were hit there. Black just banked the exchange, hitting the queen, hitting d4. Where do you go with the queen? She's going to get hit again. And where does she go to still maintain control over d4? I'm not seeing it. You have to go into a self-pin. The knight has f4. No good solution here. White resigns. 22 mover. Okay, didn't have any more time to think that one through. What would happen after the bishop e4 move? Probably just all bad news. Here he goes, resorting to his g4 ways. Okay. The aggressive g-pawn attack. Okay. And now trying to extend the scope of the light square bishop. c4 helps out with that, so pressure on d5. The bishop is unleashed. This pawn is weak. Probably need to trade queens, otherwise the king is going to experience some difficulty on the light squares, I imagine. Also, how do you complete development on the queen side? Black is up a pawn, but difficult to complete development. And now you're just going to get the pawn back. So you could take here, maybe give a check and then take here, or maintain the bishop. No, he's taking straight away. You take my bishop, I take your rook. He could simplify. He's going to do just that. Nice in-betweener before capturing on this square, and he is up 3 connected. Well, 2 pawns. He has 3 connected passed pawns. The fact that Black has a majority on the queen side means nothing. Also up 10 seconds. Yeah, this one's a gunner. Shekaroni, a resigner. He's flying, man. Wow. How many is that? It's 8 games. What's his performance? 3196. Watch out, Penguin. he's coming for your 3200 rating. Okay, we got the Wizard. I think these are all games from the arenas. The Wizard got him in the last encounter. You're only as good as your last game, says the Wizard. 2-1 game, so I guess that's the Fisher Random Tournament. Alrighty. Trying to trap the bishop or dislodge it from this strong post and wants to break down this structure. White pieces are now converging very well on the king side. Black is experiencing some problems on f7. Threat here is to win a pawn. All the white pieces will be playing here, whereas these guys are still a bit clueless. He's going to go right for the throat. Thematic sacrifice incoming. Queen g4, you know, this kind of stuff. And as soon as the rook goes there, the sacrifices, look at that. You could even do it in this situation. How do you defend mate? Like this? Well, I'll checkmate you on h5. Another resigner. Feels like a lot of miniatures. At least under 30 move games. That's another one. Okay, Godzilla. Maybe Godzilla can take the champ down. Okay. He's playing, maybe he has it in his mind that, you know what? I'm not going to play, dubious openings like the last arena. Maybe I'm just going to win all my games. Any of you think that that's a possibility? You think he's going to go for that? Right? He is approaching 2,900 FIDE. If there's someone who could do it, maybe it's him. Okay. Anyhow, what is going on with this game? It started out quiet. It is imbalanced. This king will not commit to the king side. There is some play on the h file. At some point, h3. A stop put to that. How do you move forward here is white. Ooh, breaking in the center for a start. He's going to win a pawn. No? Okay, he's going to win a second pawn. And there was an attack here. Oh. That is painful. He's one more than the exchange. That knight was going to fall next. Whoa, fast pairing, invention. He was in first early on, and he is somebody's got to put a stop to this madman. Oh man. Alrighty. A Benoni, a connected passer for white, and he's going to get some material back. Alrighty. A knight and pawn versus rook position. Make sure this guy doesn't get out of control. White's eliminating key kingside defender. How do you coordinate two pieces on these squares? One you could work with. Two, not so much. Alright. Took advantage of a pin. He got a pawn back and should be in the driver's seat from here on out. Wins another pawn, and you can't take this guy because of a checkeroni and then taking advantage of a pin. Also, how do you rescue this guy? It's not easy. Maybe not even possible. All right. What's his performance? 3208. 3208. All right. We still got a lot of chess to go. Rebecca Harris is flawless as well. We're going to get that pairing. No, watch out for g5. No g5 this time. All right. A fight over e4. He's going to win a pawn. He's going to get it back here. Okay. Crashing through. Feels like the queen could maybe be close to being trapped. A nice in-betweener. What is going on? They need to slow down. Okay, 4-2 majority on the queen side for black, but it is not a healthy one. White's is, and it is rolling fast. This guy is a passer. Watch out for the e-pawn. Okay, a lot of pawns being vacuumed up. He does not care about taking this guy. He wants this guy to roll. Is he going to find security for his king? Ah, you cannot take... Ooh, you could, because it's with check. And if you insert a check, the rook blocks and says, discover check, thank you for your queen. All right, good eye, good eye. I think that this one should be a draw. Doesn't matter so much that black is up a pawn. It's more about pawn quality. Although, this king is going to be a bit slippery. Much easier to play for white, who is behind on the clock, but pawn quality. He says, let's trade queens. This guy will run and fast, and you cannot stop this pawn from moving next. The king is secure. Oh, I forgot about that move, but now the queens are off, and this is game over. Just like that. He's too quick. The e-pawn is a runner. Ooh, with mate on the next move. I didn't think the game was going to end that fast. Yeah, the king is there to assist for queen g8, mate-a-roni. Ali Reza, number 3, next opponent. All right, Ali Reza, get him. Show him who's boss. Okay, he's launching the g-pawn. He's playing some sound openings for sure. Okay, compared to the last tournament. So what do we do here? We're going to attack the king, I guess, huh? This point is secure, kind of important. And now the knights get kicked back. He's going to go queenside. Yeah, queen here runs into a fork, so queen c2. This is a sensitive square. He says, take me. Give me a file to work with. White says, all right, I'll do it. I will take the piece. Show me your attack. This is covered. This knight is super. Good defender. Some aggressive intentions. Knight is now cut off. Some more support needed. The king can run if there is a check. 22 ticks. He's in the tank. He's still in the tank. He is still in the tank. He's got to move. Oh, maybe he's logged off. Comcast Gambit? No. Okay, he is back. Under 10, though. Yeah, I guess there just wasn't a... I don't know. White called black's bluff with knight to b4. He said, show me. And black couldn't show him. Queen here? He was just trying to do something fancy there. He has no time in the tank. Goose eggs everywhere. All right. He is on fire. 13 games in. Rebecca Harris is also on fire. Are we going to get that pairing? We are. Okay, Rebecca Harris, get him. Ah, he's getting hit with the King's Gambit. Oh, this is cool. All right. He says, I'll go uncastled. Get some tempo against the queen one day. Ooh. That's why a4 was there. Cut off the bishop. The king needs some security. This pawn falls. There is a threat maybe on c7. Can you afford to give that up? This king is without a shelter. I gave a check. He's going to win the bishop. Bishop is gone. This pawn is in a pin. How do you complete development here as white? Who needs development? Going after the king. a5. Trying to peel open a line on the queen side. Will he get that? Chop, chop. Provides a nice avenue for white rook. Maybe two. Probably just one. How's this guy getting activated? Let's see. King h2. Ready to roll? Rook e1. This is a passer. Rook exchange. Queen ready to step up and contribute. Where's a good spot for the queen? Where's an active spot? Queen on g4? No, knight on f3. Knight on f3 is very active. And there are checks. Careful now, careful now. Okay, queens are exchanged now. Two connected passers. Yeah, these guys are much stronger than these two. And can they just continue to push through? Knight's looking for b5 and then maybe gobble pawn. He's going to give up something and try and play this one, but it's not going to work out. He's not up on the clock. I don't see it happening. Well, this pawn is actually a little too fast. He got too greedy there. He maybe should have come over a bit faster. Okay, I have to reassess this. This is going to probably be a draw. After those exchanges, yeah. This one will be a draw. All right. That rook got a little too hungry. A little too hungry going after these guys instead of getting the king over here, making sure this guy doesn't get out of control. He was fast, that d-pawn. Okay. Rage tilt. All right, so he has been extinguished. No fire for Carlsen or Rebecca Harris with that draw. So that's their first speed bump. Dark square bishop exchange. Should be good news for white. Yeah, where are you going with this guy? Okay, does not want to see h5. Swipes the knight, who would be a very strong piece on g5. Some light square control. Shooting for maybe d5 one day. Queen exchange. Okay. Now the king can step up. g5 nearby. Rook is active. Knight on a very good square. If you try to give it a kick, he jumps in. He may still do that, though. And he's going to make use of e5 with the knight. Two very good squares. Black would like to have a knight on f4, if possible. Probably keep the tension. We may be nearing this. A knight on f4 will control the whole queen side. Excuse me, king side. Now it's getting broken down with h3. This falls, and you can take and drop back. You're going to invest the rook. You get some material. You're going to get this pawn as well. I think you'd get knight and 2 pawns for the rook. Didn't go for that, though, and in the end, black emerges with the better minor piece in this ending. You give a check and then maybe give a check on c1? No. Looking for a check and then winning e4. Nope, he's going to return and maybe do something different with the king. Look at the clock. Even. How do you make forward progress here? Who would know that answer? Who has an answer to that? Okay, he just swiped the b-pawn. Getting some material. Is he getting this guy? No, he's not getting this guy. This guy is really fast. Okay. There goes the bishop. Took advantage of a pin. Oh, what is going on? This is like the Rebecca Harris game, but there's still a lot more material on board. He's going to try to time burn with the tricky knight. 2.2. Ooh, what happened? Why didn't he move there? You maybe had a shaky hand. Does that ever happen to you? You get a shaky hand sometime towards the end? You get a sweaty hand and you just can't move? Okay, so maybe some mouse difficulties there. It seemed like for maybe a second and a half there wasn't any move played, and it felt like there should have been with only 2 seconds remaining. Anyhow, play for win always. Next opponent, CM, play for win always. White is up a pawn while I was staring at the name. He won the pawn. A big pawn, the C pawn, fell. And at any moment, this guy can become an animal, a passer. We're going to have that. And a queen exchange. How do you get rid of this guy? Queenside castle, bishop on c5 secures this point. Something else? The rook takes, followed up with the fork, and now, rook exchange. Ooh, followed up with this. And what is the rook not doing? Oh, he doesn't want that. The pin. Just going to vacuum up some pawns, no pile up on the pin. This one's game over. There's no good way to defend the knight. He's going to get this one. A resigner. Where do we stand here? 54-44 after Rebecca Harris's... No. Okay, he has a loss. He lost his game right after his game with Carlsen. Not the case. 54-44-42. Ali Reza is in third. Terry R2-9. Next opponent. 5-2, their match score. Gives the knight a kick. Secures this point. Light square bishop exchange. And now drop a knight into e4, I guess. Secure this square. Notice the move order. Knight here before this because there would be a capture and then maybe lose a pawn. Anyhow, we're a long way off from that position anymore. It has to take like this, otherwise this can fall? No, it wouldn't have been able to fall, because black would have got on capture the pawn on h2. Some pressure on the queen side. It is defended with the rook. We're going to run here and here? No, f4, something much more direct. So now what's the story? He's looking to do a move like f3. Play move like f3, and now if you take here, you're going to get hit with a fork. Same story if you take with the rook. Okay, he's going to take with the rook, and what's the follow-up? He's going to say, I'll mate you on h2. Go ahead, take my rook. I'll get at h2, and there won't be a good defense. White doesn't want that. What white wants are some trades to release the pressure on the king side. This rook is looking to swing over. The bishop is defending the rook. You could go right over. Rook takes, there's pawn takes. Also, the queen is... Oh, no, the queen is not defending this point. So some checks here. You cannot block with the bishop, otherwise it'll be mate. I think it's perpetual, because black has gone all in on this attack, is not around to defend the king. This should be a draw. A draw on board. Just needed one more move. Okay, Rebecca Harris again. 1 versus 2. Getting hit with the King's Gambit. What's going on with this? Another King's Gambit. Knight is blocking. This time, he's not giving up the e-pawn. Well, I shouldn't say giving up. Maybe he's not blundering the e-pawn. I think he blundered the e-pawn in their first encounter, and the king is getting wild. Will he actually take the knight if he's free? Oh, okay, the other point is that he wants this bishop to play. Go ahead, take him. Take the knight and say, show me. He's going to take the knight. Oh, there it is. One of those games. It's just one of those games. It is a piece. He's got some security around him. There's only a queen here in on the attack, and he could afford to give up another piece. Maybe secure this one way or the other. C3 is the way. The knight isn't a pin. The king's going to flee to C2. Watch out for mate on B7. Oh, it's game over. A 19 mover. That's a check, and the light squares are about to collapse. This queen is way out here in right field. Not a contributor. Okay, a W for the doctor. Back to tournament we go with a wild G-pawn. Kyborg. Borky is the name. Okay. Borky Prajovic? Probably butchering the name. Okay, there's an issue here on D3. How did this happen so quickly? Okay, Problem City. That's a fork town. There's not a good solution. Whew. Yeah. One attack on B7, but the knight once more is shielding, just like in his games against Rebecca Harris. A pawn up and then knight here to blunt the diagonal. Same story. The knight here, that's hitting with a check. And after queen takes, the knight gets to do something exciting with the discovered attack against the queen. A resigner on board, a 22 mover. Queen takes knight, and knight here is one way to win the queen. Maybe there's something better. Yeah, okay. Let's see where we are with the standings. Ali Reza having a very good tournament. 60-50, both with fire, top 2. Goldine King. FM opponent. Minor piece imbalance, quickly on board. Structural imbalance as well. Doubled F pawns. You don't want to see this F5 move, so that's why we have these two guys around to make this F5 move not available. Be nice to undouble as white. Okay. Big problem on E5. No, it's secure. Certainly some attention here. D4 as well, a big gap in white's position. D4 as a whole. Queen is hit, find a square. It's defending here as well. Very nice dark square control. Really nice grip, and you could probably, if I was going to say you could afford to give up the knight. Black just took advantage of a pin, and now the knight is circling around to get here. The queens are going to be exchanged. White is down a piece. And there's no compensation. Oh, that's painful. That's the second time white, black took advantage of that pin. This time banking a knight. It's too much. This is too much. Too much. He's a runner. No stopping him. White resigned. Okay, he has yet to lose a game. 2 draws in there. A 31-73 performance with 85 minutes to go. Ali Reza second. Okay, Matthew G, P4P. When is that F going to turn into an I? And then a G. Young, talented player, Matthew G. Okay, black temporarily up a minor piece, but white gets it back with that fork. This is a backward pawn. He's going to get the rook. Doesn't want it. Giving great value to the light square bishop. Without this guy around, black will set up a nice battery and the king will suffer. So, play on opposite wings. Offset the rook, yes. Where do we go with the rook? Aha, sneak over. Say, I will defend like this. White is insisting. And the bishop is going there for what reason? So the queen has a square to pivot. Not so fast, not so fast. It'd be a check and you'd lose the queen. White, I think, is better here. Yes, I think white should be winning here. Also, the clock tells some story about how Carlsen is feeling at this stage. He's back 15 seconds. And yeah, white is the aggressor. White is up material. And how are you defending? Here and then this possibility. Okay, the bishop goes back to defend, but is there a check there? Not a check here. No sacrifices. Looking for this next. He's going to get that next. He's dropping. Maybe he was still just going to try for that. Last hope is a perpetual. There is no perpetual. White goes on to win. First L for the doctor. What did that do? Okay, 31-33. First L. Another game against Ali Reza. 1-2 matchup. Another King's Gambit. This is turning into a King's Gambit. Yes, I see in the chat. He said, ChessFan123 in the Twitch chat says, nice win by Matthew. I agree. Very nice play. He was quicker on the queen side, and that eventually translated to being faster on the king side. Okay, queenless position against Ali Reza. Some imbalance with the pawns. At some point, this guy will expand some security first for the king. Maybe not. He's going to go with the a-pawn, trying to promote it. How far? How far do you want to go? This knight is under control. Forward square is covered. Rook is unprotected. Threat here is to take the pawn. Not now. Some defense. Gives up a square. Pressure. Well, not pressure. A good square for the knight on f4, who was offset. He's going to win this pawn. If knight takes, and here, can you get away with pushing? I think pushing would be the way. Oh, okay. What's the story here? I guess he's going to win a pawn. Black is going to win a pawn. Can't trade too much. Black is... Can you play here? No, because there'd be a check and the rook gets behind. Important detail. There wouldn't be a rook here because of the bishop. All right. This guy is going to fall. Perpetual checks? No. Whoa. Okay, pressure here and here. All pawns passed. 2 connected passers. Oh, he's taking advantage of a pin. This is going to be a tough one for the doctor. Yep. He just resigned. You have to go here to save the bishop. And there'd be bishop takes bishop, rook takes, and then you get the pawn. In the end, Ali Reza would have 2 connected passers to Carlsen 0. 0 pawns. And he is fast enough to convert it. So Ali Reza gets a W in the back-to-back losses. Okay. Another game against the IM Munir. Alrighty. What is this? This feels like a reverse Sicilian. It's knight gonna circle around to this square. Oh, what's the story with that? Okay, unleashing an attack against the knight. You take here, I take there. Oh. He wins back some material like that. Can you take... Oh! Oh, no, no, no. I was thinking once more this idea to take and run with the pawn, but it would have been stopped. And if you trade rooks, eventually white would have to go on the defensive. Black would have an active rook versus white's passive rook. Not in this position, though. The white rook is ideally placed behind the pawn, and it will be won. So we're going to have soon a 4-2 battle on the king side, and it should be converted. Oh, it will definitely be converted. He was in pre-move mode. Rook is a goner. Blundered. Where do we stand? 66, 58, 50. Still an hour 19 to go. Let us see. Caching. Ah, Caching loves to put the knights on F2 and C2. He has his system, his way of playing. Look at these guys. Is it any good, though? Is he going to win some material? No. Well, yes. Black gets two big center pawns, though. White seems to have very nice control over the light squares, which is a problem. Black only has a dark square bishop. Best piece for white is this guy right here. Okay, picks up another pawn. Now it's a knight versus three pawns imbalance. Alrighty. Exchange rooks, kick the knight, challenge the knight once it's here. Queen on this square? No. Oh, hit the knight. Put the bishop in a pin. Can you afford a queen exchange? Nah, why go for that? Much more active queen. At some point, maybe A3, and then you're breaking down C3. Not right now. This is a passer. Possibilities for a queen getting to G2 for mate. Forcing a queen exchange at this stage, but by now, Black has acquired a connected passed pawn. And how do you get this king rolling? It's in a giant box. For as long as this can be maintained. So question, can it be maintained? It seems like you can maintain it. And now, ooh, was that planned? No. Just dropped a piece. He has 4 pawns versus the knight and bishop. Check that, 3 pawns. Yeah, dangerous H-pawn, another dangerous pawn. How do you push through here? Oh, another pawn falls. Can you stop this guy? If you can stop this guy, you're going to win. It seems like you're going to win. He's going to go after this guy. Going to try something sneaky. Watch out. Oh, he's trying some sneaky stuff. Some time burners. 3.5. Is white going to be able to get this pawn? Go. Yeah, it seems like he's going to be able to get the pawn. Good luck. He could pre-move this one out. 1.3, 1, under 1. Yeah, this one's gone. Another L for the doctor. Loss, loss, win, loss. 66, 58. This is, he's in pause mode. He needs a breather. Maybe a frustrating loss, right? When you have an opponent that goes for that setup, right? How'd that opening go? Wait, I didn't even realize that this move was played in the game. Queen h4 check happened so fast. Okay, he's still in pause mode. I guess we could have a look at a top game. This one here, Ali Reza, number 2. Against, I haven't seen this account, maybe a fairly new account. Let's see how this one goes. And then I will see what the doctor's up to. Okay, dark square control. Very nice dark square control for black. He didn't play bishop here. I thought that was would have been a good decision. Serious threat to win the queen. It's out of that with check. Queen is hit. Okay, 2 connected passers. One is picked up. There was a mate threat on h2. Pressure on the bishop now. Needs a secure square. Can be challenged. Bishop c6. Doesn't want rook takes b2. So secure b2 first. But now will this pawn get hunted? Yes. And in the end, bounced with the material. Opposite color bishops. Pressure on f2. Rook exchange. It should be a draw. If anyone is better, it's really just tough to say who's better. I don't know. Maybe black. I don't know. Slightly better king position. Bishop could be challenged with a4. Okay, up on the clock, team black, a good 5 seconds. Okay, now white is for choice. White is probably winning. The pawn survives. I don't think this pawn can be caught. No, he's a runner. Not getting him. 6 seconds to do it, Ali Reza. Mate. And just a couple. He didn't want that check. Watch out. King here. Don't make a pawn move or a king move. Otherwise, it's stalemate. It's going to let the clock tick. I guess so. All right. Where do we stand here? The doctor? Oh. The doctor's back. All right. The doctor versus Ali Reza. Is this his first game back? I didn't miss a game, I don't think. That was good timing. Okay. A lot of e4, f4 games. King's Gambit land. The knight is hit. Gives up the bishop so that you can move forward. Can this pawn be won? You win this pawn and you should be better because of this rook activity. Problem on c4, defended. You could jump in here, taking advantage of a pin that may be nearby. Queen exchange. In the end, this pawn, if you lose it, this guy is going to be a real killer. Okay, some activity. If you go in for this, there'd be rook there. Also knight check. Maybe forcing your way through with this. Okay, some quick moves on the queen side grants the knight a strong post on c5. This knight is a beast. Okay, he's going to try and work around it and go after this guy. Dislodge the knight with a4. The knight is somewhere else. This guy is going to fall. A pawn falls. Whew. Rook is hit. I want to take the knight. Okay, there is a passer on board. This c pawn. It's defended. Oh, he just dropped the c pawn. Knight takes, rook takes pawn. Under 10 seconds. That's the biggest problem here for Team Black. It's not looking good on the clock. Is he getting that knight? He is getting that knight. Wow. Black is better here. Black is winning. 4 seconds, however. 3.5. Very close to mate. This one's going to white. I don't see Ali Reza pulling this one off. Oh, maybe he will pull it off. Wow. 0.01? No. A draw on board. Okay, I gotta go to a different tab. On that other one here, okay, we got another fast pairing. Rebecca Harris. Another encounter. Their third for this tournament. So let's see. He's going to hang on to the e-pawn. Try and just win this guy outright. Okay. Put a rook here? No. There are some checks. c2 is hit as well. How are we getting this guy? Ah, he doesn't want that guy. He wants this one here. Knight takes. It's on the bishop. Can you get away with taking here? Bishop takes pawn here. Maybe that. Okay, rook off. This bishop maybe a bit out of play. Yeah, staring at this pawn for the moment. A really nice square for the knight. b2. Okay, doesn't want to even try to defend that pawn. What does he have in store? counterattack against the c-pawn, who is now passed. This guy is still out of the ball game. Okay, he's now exchanged. Black is up a pawn. This guy is a runner. It'll be really fast if you take here. So he's not gonna go for that pawn. He's gonna win another. He could win a pawn here. Doesn't want it. Maintain the king position. He's getting it now. Knight in a pin. There's this. Okay, he's going on the defensive. Yeah, things got away from black these last few moves, it feels. Still the better side. Active rook. 2 passers. 2 pawns up. Yeah, this guy's running fast. Security for the king. Yeah, he's pushing through. No stopping him. And it's hitting with check on top of it. Okay. Whoa. Another fast pairing. Jagalko is the opponent. Okay. Carol Khan on board. Advanced variation with c5 as the follow-up. Okay, he's not going to deploy the light square bishop outside of the pawn chain in this variation. Instead, going to focus on getting the pawn back. Trying to, at least. Black is up a pawn, and we'll try to hang on to it. If black gets the pawn back, he'll just be better because of the bishop pair. So it is a true gambit line that we are in. True bishop pair versus 2 knights position. Lateral movement for the rook. Will it ever swing over? Maybe. This is a strong point for white, to be sure. d4 is a rock. And how do you break down white's structure? I don't see it. Feels like white can make slow, steady progress on the king side. Get the queen out, maybe go a bit aggressive with the g-pawn. Is he going to go forward with that plan? He's going to put a lot of pressure on d4, but it could never be enough to break down white's formation. He's maybe gearing up for this. It's not without its problems. And he's going to go with these slow, improving moves. I think it's a very good plan. This is secure. Very nice play. There isn't a good pawn break for Carlsen, and this is a problem. 22 each. It has to just remain a defensive piece. I think you have to shoot for this if you want to play for a win. Otherwise, it's a mouse race. Are we going to have G? Okay, here we go. Here's the pawn break. This is where things will shake up. Oh, no opened E file, but things are happening on H, G, and F files. Half opened, and now crashing through on F2. Wow. Queen takes rook. There'd be rook takes rook. Up a piece. Team black. And are we going to have the queens off? Go after this pawn. Watch out for a sneaky A pawn. He's going nowhere now. 4 passers. And plenty of time to do it. He's a runner. Where's the mate? Check. And then checkmate next. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let me go right here. All right. Here we are. We still got an hour 7 to go. Caching. Aha. He interfered with his plan to put the knight on c7 in this game. I think he really wants to get this guy back. with this opening system he goes for. He is 29-40 with a lot of probably more experience in that opening than anybody in the world. So, wow. Let us see. Things aren't going so good here for Team Black. The center is officially collapsing, and this guy is going to watch from the sidelines soon enough. You don't have to do anything here. There is a pin on the F file. Pressure on F6. How are you getting out of the pin? He wants a queen exchange. Please, he says. It's too dangerous. Can we have the queens off? This is a goner. Chop and then a fork. It's up a piece. Easy conversion. Get behind the pawn and push it, or get your king active. What do you want to do? Give a check, maybe here and then there, or he's hungry for this square. Improve the king. Check, here, push, and then return. Have to go there. And now rook here next. Yes. Nothing to do. Okay, that one is over. White wins. 75-68 with fire. Ali Reza right on his heels. 64 cashing. That was a big game. He had a chance to get to 68. Okay, Ali Reza. Really big game right here. King's Gambit again. Forgetting what the name of that variation is when black plays d5 in reply to f4. I'm forgetting. Anyhow, what's going on here? Black is up a pawn, a passed pawn, d4. Pressure on e6. Pressure on the rook. Black seems to be in good shape. Mate threat on h2. That's shielded. This is a really strong knight. He wins a pawn. But this knight right here, it's not just a three-pointer. Wow, is that greedy? Taking the h-pawn? Inviting another piece into the attack? Okay, the strongest piece is being challenged. How do you work around this guy? How do you do anything with these guys? He's going to play over here on the queen side. I don't know, any pawn move, it's tough. He's gonna have to break at the king somehow. He's trying. White is trying to work around this knight. He's definitely be off. Welcome to a queen exchange. Not gonna have a repetition. Oh, we are gonna have a repetition. Oh, a draw on board. Okay, a draw. 77-74. No fire for those two. We haven't seen Knight King yet. Okay, here we go. Try and put the knight here. Try and put the knight here. Don't try this at home. It's just an optical thing. It's a yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the story is. It just looks pretty, but is it objectively any good? Probably not. You could get away with a lot of stuff though in bullet openings. I was thinking for a second you just go by. That would have been a problem. So there is a pin on the d file. You're going to push now. Okay, the bishop is a really strong piece. You don't want to allow the knight to get here. Also, the rook wants to make use of c1. An annoying bishop working from afar. Where do we go from here? There might be an accident happening on c3 at some point. Ooh, what's happening with this? Calculating just a queen exchange. In the end, white will get this. Okay. Pressure on the queen and knight. You have to take the knight. Why don't you... Okay, counterpunch against the knight. Just going to be defended. He wants to win this piece. So what do we do here? Okay, he's forcing this imbalance. Opposite color bishop. You got to watch for this stuff. The bishop is a really good piece. Both bishops are very good. Both are contributing. Okay, so now I think black is better because this bishop interferes with the white rooks more than this bishop does for the black rooks. See this as a target. Also, this is a passer. And black should find it much easier getting the king activated. This rook is struggling. It's on the defensive and also back on the clock. A good 10 seconds. Super glued bishop. What is this guy not doing? He's protecting everything. Perfect harmony on black side, and it remains with four passed pawns. And let's just see the conversion. He's got two queens on the scene. Okay, got the W. The doctor with the W. Ali Reza only 3 points behind the doctor with call it an hour to go. There's the clock. 79, 76, 69, 66. Is he in pause mode? He's not in pause mode. He's playing against the wizard. 98. Scandinavian. Oh, Okay. A gambit line with c6. White is up a pawn. What kind of imbalance do we have here? Threat to win the pawn. He gets it back. No. I lost count of something. Yeah, he just blundered. That wasn't a clean queen exchange. That was the loss of a minor piece. Okay. Nihal Sarin, next opponent. More King's Gambit. Queen h5, King e2. These two played just the other day. String of games. Maybe, I don't know how many games. A good amount, probably over an hour of play, at least. Let us see. I don't think you're getting at this this king. Yeah, the bishop's ready to come out. Pressure on c7. It's defended. To recapture the queen, so the queen watches over this square. Yeah, how would you... I was wondering, what would you do if queen takes queen? I wonder if you would maybe take with the pawn, even though you double them. Okay. I think black is doing very well here. I think black is the better side. This knight is a goner. Now, that's the other reason why black is the better side. This knight was so dominant, and there was not a good retreat square for the knight. Simply stuck. So black is up a big knight. We'll try to break it down some, but black has great control over this position. Okay, here is that break. Is pawn going to be passed soon? Okay, doesn't want to take here because this would welcome some more exchanges. Yeah, but black is creating a passer. Also simplifying some. No good solution here for white. Carlsen resigns. Now that knight got stuck on f6. What can you do? Well, that opened up a big window for Ali Reza, who is now in first with 82, has fire. Carlsen is extinguished, so he's playing from behind now, and who... Well, you know, like, he just pre-moved bishop b4. It's like he knew. He has sixth sense. He felt bishop b4 coming. He said, I'll play a3 and get a quick W. I won't be in second place for long. Back in first with a quick win. What was that, a 4-mover? All right. Munir, again, who remains... I don't know. Yeah, he's in the top 10. Top 10 here. Even material. Imbalance with the pawns. This guy looking for mate. You gonna stop that? Are you gonna try and work around that? Whoa. Okay, this has opened up at least a perpetual if white wants it. White should maybe look for more. Rook lift nearby. You could maybe prevent it some. With h4? No, he's prepared to run. A new square for the king. And he wants mate, man. He wants mate. Check. And okay, the queen is there controlling the key square g7. Do I know what square that is? It's g7. He just won a pawn. And now you have to defend this point. Is there going to be a problem? It might be a problem. Queen here and then rook here. And then what are you doing about... oh yeah, this idea for check. And then rook here. There's not a good solution for Carlsen. He goes down. What would be the story? You defend the pawn and... there's check. Oh, check winning the rook at minimum. He's going to get the rook. Okay, caching. Again, fancy knight maneuver. The fancy knight maneuver caching. All right, we have some play on the queen side. Well, he's still in first. Wonder what Ali Reza is doing in his next game. If he won. All right, anyhow, nice control over the d file. A jumping point on d4, some security for the bishop, better structure for white. Pawn duo, split pawns for black. Wants a dark square bishop exchange and a knight on c5. That would be wonderful. Okay. That weak pawn is a goner. C pawn is long gone. Dark square bishop, hit. Can't take because the rook was unprotected. It was a threat after knight to c3, however. Okay. Knight is very strong. Pressure on f6. Rook is also a fantastic piece on d5. White is up this pawn in time. These guys should get rolling. Here we go. Keeps pressure on something. Some security now. Just stabilizing some. Get behind this guy. Track him down and win the rook and pawn ending. Knight there is helpful with a punch. Or rook f5 is helpful. Two are hit. He's throwing in a check. Yeah. No time. No time and no material. Knight takes. Rook takes. He's going to be up a piece and some pawns. 85, 84. Don't forget about Rebecca Harris, who is in third, 78 with fire. Opper is competing in this tournament. Their first pairing under these two accounts. All right, so what was the opening? A Scandinavian? Okay. The Fiend Keto. Problem on d4. It's defended with this bishop move. More exchanges. How many pieces will be exchanged? Major piece specific ending. Okay. It's going to be a draw. That's my guess. No. No, this pawn is going to win. Just this little clamp. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna predict a draw here. Let's see if that happens. Well, black queen is much more active than the white queen. There's not really a great shelter for the king. Oh. White is very passive, but I think you could resort to this type of passive play. You have your base points covered, and I don't see how you break down the pawn structure. Ooh, the clock situation, however, is another story. He's gonna shoot for some. He's gonna go for a king walk. Can't get too crazy to watch over this. So he's gonna use this as a little shield. Guard the king from behind. Is he gonna inch up now? He's inching up a little bit, but I think you just have to go right back after queen to d6. We're going to have some checks thrown in. Some break. Some break. If it enters a king and pawn ending, black is better. Black is going to win this on the clock. And maybe objectively by this point it is a win. Because this king is getting access to b2 fast. 10 seconds up. In the end, no draw on board. Okay, 87, 84, 82. Carlsen paired up against the boss, the winner of the warm-up. $50. The warm-up to this event. Let's see, 52 minutes to go. Problem here. Something has to be done with these bishops. Queen is going to win g5. And he's up a pawn. He's up 2 pawns. Just get castled. Get away with winning a third? Yeah, and it's too much. It simplifies that much more. No issue for the black king. Be tucked away soon enough. Pretty quick game there. 19 mover against the boss. 91 with fire. 86. The number 2 guy. That's our pairing. Ali Reza again. More F4 stuff. Their last 2 games drawn. Black's up a pawn. Trying to make white struggle some to get it back. Okay, something wild is happening on the queen side. It's happening too fast for me to keep up with. Yeah, there is the pin. No threat to take on b4 until that guy was defended. There is a passed pawn. How do you get it running? Okay. Take here. Yeah, it was a blunder. He's trying to divert the bishop away, but that bishop was hitting the rook, so pawn is lost. Black is up 2. More active rook is the only thing going for Team White right here that I see. This knight once more. He did this in their last game. A knight. Carlsen had to try and work around a knight that was on e3. Yeah. That's one of the things this pawn on f4 provides, right? Some support for this whole knight jumping in there. Anyhow, he's getting a pawn back. Can simplify a bunch and then go here, win this pawn. Bit surprised that he did not go for that. Would have been up 2 pawns and a rook and pawn ending. Does not have a lot of time on the clock. Under 10, Ali Reza. He's in a pin. And there's the tricky knight. He's there again. Is there a way to exchange off all pawns? No, there isn't. Okay, the doctor gets the W. Back to tournament we go, 59 with fire, 86-82. Check that 86-84 with fire. I think we're getting the pairing with Rebecca Harris. Yes, a big game for Rebecca Harris. Okay, some more King's Gambit. This time not going for bishop a6 move, just getting it here. A check, you may even be able to play g4 and reply to that. So the king's going to hide on g2, and the white king experiences no problems. Can I get this guy back? Oh, what just happened there? White's up a rook. Yeah, this is a resigner. What just happened there? Oh, that little fork trick is not working in this case because in the end, white is able to land a fork himself. He was up the exchange. Okay, in this final position, up the rook. That was a big chance for Rebecca Harris, for sure. Okay, boss. Let's see what the boss has here. The boss is looking to get in a better game than the last one. It got away. 3 pawns down very early. Okay. There's some weak squares in white's camp. Black's making use of one of them, queen on h4. He wants access to more, and so peels open the f-file. The drawback is that this guy is backward and weak, but he has squares to work with. In fact, both rooks will soon be trained on this. Oh, there's a problem here. They'll be trained on this file. Bishop takes, you drop h3. Queen takes, you drop f2. So the king side is officially collapsing. And you cannot block. You would drop the rook. The black rooks are playing. The white rooks are still kind of clueless. And I think this happening next, there's no good defense to it. So the positional-minded players, many would just not go for this. But taking into account those weak squares, that's that little give and take. You know, you allow your opponent to target a weak pawn, but you have access to your opponent's weak squares on the f-file in that game. Okay. We have an isolated queen pawn position. I wonder who this is. Do they have it in their profile? I don't know. Okay. Well, black has an f-file to work with. Pressure on d5. This knight can be stuck. Be careful. h6 will trap the knight. h6 is still in that position to maybe trap the knight. No, not anymore. Bishop is not there controlling e6 anymore. Rook has a responsibility. And this knight is jumping around. Queen's back. Nice shot. It's going to pick up the exchange with that c3 move, hitting with the fork. In the end, we have, well, a strong bishop. I think this may actually be objectively a draw. Almost feels like it's easier to play for white, in a way. Don't want to give that guy up. That one was probably insignificant. Why do I say easier to play for white? He has security for his king, whereas this rook could be a bother to the black king. Just giving checks in this bullet format. Now he's going to have to do something, actually. It'd be tough to get this guy running, but he will be passed. I think he's going to try to maybe coordinate on this square. He's down on the clock quite a bit, the doctor. 4 seconds back. He's converging on this square now. Not anymore. He's stuck. It's going to be a tough one now. He's getting behind. Yeah, 2.8. Who has the faster mouse? Can he hold this as a draw? 1.5. Let's see the mouse speed. Go fast. A draw. Whoa. I wasn't expecting that. 0.42. Saved by the repetition. 105, 89, 86, 84. 44 to go. Ogrilla, who is in 14th. One game in the books between these two. Ogrilla got him. Space. Where is this king going to be safe? We don't know. With this guy around, it's always going to be scary on this side, especially if the queens are on board. Okay, we have a tsunami of pawns in the center. Get the queen here, this piece here, and it's a winner. How do you make that happen? Okay, we got two giant thorns in the position. A6, H3. What is happening here? The knight is under fire. The queen is hit. The knight has to go into a pin, but then there's this. Okay, he's going to try for this. Black is there to take the bishop out. Important detail. Black's up a minor piece. Now that that pawn is captured, there's maybe this possibility. The diagonal is opened up. You could have played there. You should have played there. There was enough coverage for that. I think you would have won the rook. Maybe just forgetting that the queen was there, or could also be that I was forgetting something. It's probably more likely. Okay, anyhow. Bishop and the queen converging on G2. A passer. This rook has a sad responsibility. Stop B3. Black wants it, and will get it. There is no stopping this pawn. Rook has to move. Actually, I don't even know where the rook could have gone to. There wasn't a safe square for the rook. Okay, caching. Let's see it, buddy. Put your knights on C7 and F7. Because it looks pretty. Do it. The most experienced player with this formation. Right here, GM caching. All right. I think a similar approach happened in their last game, where we ended up just having a central breakthrough, and it appears to be collapsing again. The black position in the center, the light squares, the dark squares, both. C5 is a goner, and D6 is a goner soon. Gonna grab that pawn? No, just stabilize. Park the bishop on E4. G5 falls. Gonna take the exchange. What's the story? Gonna take the exchange. Gotta watch out for this stuff. Mate on H7. Nice security here for the white pieces. Excellent knight, excellent bishop. Bishop's gluing in the knight. Rook takes could be met with knight here, because king takes, there's then this double check and then mate. Some pressure on B3. White is up sometime. Would definitely be welcome to queen exchange. wants that. Maybe even here or there. I think that was possible. He's going for it one move later, first getting out of this pin. So it is shut down. The king is a bit more secure now. The queen is flushed back. And you don't want this pawn to move, so this knight will stay there. There was a threat of mate on a2. 5 seconds up. No, you can't take the pawn bishop here. Whoa, and you can't block. You have to go into a pin. Wow. In no time, black was winning in this final position. Check. Get the rook doing something. You're up a rook and a bishop, but no time on the clock. 109, 92, 91. Rebecca Harris is in second with fire. Ali Reza third, Opper 4. Are we going to get a game? He is not in pause mode. Opper, 4th place. Let's see what we get here. Going to repeat their first game? No. A Sicilian, an open Sicilian. A wild H-pawn. H4, G4. This is a weak square. How can you get to it, though? Okay, some simplification. Aha! So this is the first step. Establish a pawn on e5. Oh, but at a big cost. The rook is a goner. Oh, there goes another piece. Opper is going to win this one. He is up 2 pieces. That knight got a little too wild. You know, a little too wild for black. He's got 1 strong piece on f4. Oh, wait a second. He's getting a piece back. Wow. Wow. Okay, well, in the end, white is still up a rook. Quit your wowing. Yeah. Let's see the conversion here. Come on, Opper. Get him. Move the rook and push your pawn. What is going on? He's falling apart. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh man. Only this guy named DrNykterstein can do something like that, Opper. No way. You're not going to find a single game ever where he's up 2 pieces. How does this happen? Okay, it's not over. But I should never got to this point. Opper's still winning this. This guy's pushing through. 3.7. How it even got to that point, no idea. Why isn't he taking that rook? We got the time burner guy around. Down on the clock, the doctor. What a back and forth game. Wow. Unbelievable to even come back like that, and then Opper fought back. I thought for a second or two the doctor was winning. I don't know. I can't make sense of that game. It was wild. Oh, it was a wild game. Okay, Zavin Chess Mood. Number 5 guy. Let us see. 37 minutes to go. This is far from a runaway, this tournament. Got Rebecca Harris right on his heels. Ali Reza too. We'll get more of those pairings, I imagine. Alrighty. What is going on with this one? Opposite color bishops. Yeah, I think white is the better side. I am certain of that, but it will not be enough to convert. I feel confident about that with this one. This bishop right here will freeze this side. He's gonna maybe win this pawn. That one was just not a factor. And this cannot be broken down. Yeah, white with this move is saying, let's just make a draw. I'm gonna go back and forth. Can we just agree to a draw? Can we just agree to a draw? Are we gonna have a draw? No draw. Still no draw. There's the draw. Okay. A draw. Officially there. 110, 104. With fire. Opper as well with fire. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, he won that game. I was thinking I was forgetting he won that game against Carlsen. I was thinking he was a draw and he was extinguished and he had a few games in. He's back on fire. Not the case. Okay, are we going to get a game? He's not in pause mode. Who are we going to get? 36 minutes to go. Are we getting a game? There it is. Okay, yeah, there was some hiccup. A big game here. Rebecca Harris has a big chance. Get the W. Get him, Rebecca Harris. Who am I going for here? I'm just looking for some good games. And we have just that with this tournament. Okay, D5. D5. Pitching a pawn. Why would you ever want to do that? Well, opposite sides castling. We care more about open lines towards the enemy king. Black has that. Watch out for mate. That was hitting with check. No time for mate. There's an escape square. White king is prepared to run. Would not be the first time it has run. An earlier game between these two. All right, the king taking a knight on e4. A couple moves later, black resigns. Okay, a queen exchange is going to happen. There isn't... Yeah, it is going to happen. All these squares are covered by the knight and the bishop. And as things simplify here, white is simply up a... two minor pieces, not a couple tricky knights for Team White. Rebecca Harris goes down. That was a big loss. That 108 would have been 108. 108 to 110. Opper is still there. Okay, Ali Reza, who is holding on to 4th place. What is this? An exchange. Queen's Gambit declined. Yes. I'm looking for central breakthrough. Safeguard the king first before he's vulnerable on this diagonal. E4? Not just yet. Now we're a little bit closer to e4. Still doesn't want e4. When is the time? Never. He doesn't want e4. I just got juked. No e4. He's transitioning to something on the king side. Looking for g5. He is up the exchange. Pressure on f7. Here gives up a big square on g5. Careful. Different story now. You can't go to g5. You have to defend the rook. Okay. Breaking open the king side some. Can we get the queen here? Can we take advantage of this pin? This pin, if I could draw an arrow. Oh, we could just take straight away with what is the follow-up? Or pig on the 7th. What's the follow-up, though? The rook has to go on the defensive. Okay. What's the follow-up here? This looks a bit scary. Pawn just a step away. Okay. This knight is defending the back rank. Okay, there's a check. There's a check. Another check. Getting some material. Winning. Black is winning. Black is down on time. Oh. Oh, he fell for mate. Ouch, that's painful. The one guy, that little pawn, controls g8. Yeah, he just missed the old checkmate in 2. Wow, that was a lucky win. I don't know. Well, Ali Reza was helpful. That's what I'm trying to say. He's just a little bit helpful. Yeah, okay. A big blunder there. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyhow, what is going on here? Second time they're playing. First one was a draw. Was the end? Oh, okay. What is happening here? Dark squares. Dark squares. It's a game over. This knight's going to have some fun. Watch out for the windmill. He's going to pick up a pawn here. Return. Take a pawn, return. Take a pawn, return. Yeah, he didn't even want to face the windmill. That's when you throw in the towel. If you don't want to face the windmill, just hit that resign button. Okay, 118, 106, 100. Opper slipped up after maybe having close to 10 wins, it seems. Munir, you going to go with crazy G-pawn? Yes. Does it again. But the queens are off, and white is up a pawn. Second pawn. Looking for a fork. This one should be a gunner. Yeah. You can't win this one. Okay, this knight currently boxed out by a pawn, but there's... What? Oh, okay. I was thinking you had to react to this a4 move. He's winning pawn after pawn after pawn. Now, how many is that? That's 4. Okay, it's too much. Okay. 122, 108, 197. That's your top page. Still no game against Knight King in this tournament. Ah, just as I say that. Knight King on board. So, Alexander Bortnik is the opponent. Let's see. Queenside imbalance. Light square bishop exchange. If we could get the knight here, we'll be happy. Or here. There's 2 good squares. This is a big one. Maybe the better spot to go to. This is where this is the side of the board where white has some weaknesses. 4 holes on the queen side, so there will be some good squares there. Even if the knight is challenged, the rook will happily take that post up. And yeah, that weak pawn, that's what sometimes happens. They fall. They're so weak you just can't hang on to them. And if you take, the queen will have a wonderful square on d5, and black will have a passer. Does not want to see h5. This knight, if it ever jumps in, it'll be knocked out. Not too quick to castle, you notice, because this is basically the only try for white to stir up some trouble. We're going to have that. You have to try it. Just going on a complete, defensive. There is no defense. The black pieces will swarm in on the queen side. So we do have the g4 break. The king is prepared to hide over here if things collapse. Like here you cannot take because of mate. Problem on e1, we're getting some exchanges in. Yeah, the queens are off. This one's a goner on the clock and position. Okay, up a full rook, final position. White resigns. Back to tournament land we go. 126, 108, 102. Under a half hour to go. Okay, let's see who we get next. Oh, Gorilla. All right, oh, Gorilla. Let's see what you got. A London. Tucks the bishop away. Pressure on b2. Queen's intention. Knights on good squares for black. Some play on the queen side. This is a sensitive square. They're going to recapture. If you could get these 2 moves in. Okay, he's fighting. He's going to get that in. Now that the light square bishop not there. This move here clamps down very well on the queen side. Also, this knight you can stabilize with b5. I'm surprised b5 isn't played. I guess it's just not needed. Control your structure here. Okay, g4 is a good break. Eliminates a pawn that controls a central square. Also, a file to maybe work with. White's not in position to do that with the rooks. Is this knight stuck? This knight's stuck. That's why he's thinking. He's wondering, what did I do to my knight? I need to have a pawn around to rescue him, and I'm going to have to give up a big square to the knight in order to hang on to this guy. Well, that happened in his game against Sarin. His knight got a little too wild. And now it's in a pin. You can protect it, but then there's a fork. He's just going to give that up, I guess. Okay, no, that pawn was captured with check. What am I talking about? Okay, and now what do we do here? Here, and now 2 pieces are hit. How do you save them both? Oh, a tricky knight. That's how you do it. Rook h3. The knight survives, and he is up 3 pawns at the end of it all. They're moving so fast. I think I highlighted like 3 vacant squares. Anyhow. Under 10 seconds for each side. Put the knight here, exchange. Run pawn. It's a runner. And now it is simplification time. And I guess we're going to go on to the very end. Checkmate. Okay. Let's see where we're at. 130, 111, 108, 102. Okay. 25 minutes to go. There's a gap there, for sure. A 19-point gap between 1 and 2. Who are we going to get? It's not in pause mode. Here we go. Here we go. Opper. Opper, if you are up 2 pieces, you cannot let it get down to like rook and pawn ending. Oh, man. Okay, here we go. The doctor's going to try to get him back. This is a strong piece, best piece for black. Notice it is challenged right away, multiple times. I like black's position here. I like black's position. There is not a good pawn break for white. Doesn't want the knight exchange. Okay, he's gonna go into this spot here. I guess he didn't want to invite the bishop forward, but I don't really think it matters. If this pawn break is not there tactically, white is just better. Okay, he's giving up a pawn just to get some activity for the pieces, but black is pretty quick with the b4 break. And look at this cozy shelter for the black king. Who's better? I think it is black. Does not have to react to the threat. Take my queen, I'll take yours. But no, he's not going to lose the rook. Rook comes over with the h check. The queen could take. Rook and pawn ending. Cozy king. Fast h pawn. 2 connected passers, but how do you stop this guy? Oh, very nice. This guy's a runner too. Whoa, is this rook really going to stop all the pawns? No way. No way. Too fast. Buy a tempo. Or 2. Okay, black is going to get this one. Mate. Opper. With another W. Yes. Alrighty. FM opponent, he did this the first time they played, right? Was this the guy? Another Berserk game. Okay. Well, at any moment. Well, or are we going to have something fancy? Queen takes and then here, do it. Do it. Okay. I don't know. I mean, that's simplest, of course, but I almost felt like queen takes and then here with the double check is possibly leading to a win. G6 as a follow-up. Okay, he wasn't a fan of being fancy. He just says, let me just take. Okay. Another game. Ooh! I almost thought for a second we're watching GM caching. No, we are not. A little knight dance to f7. Ensuing play on the king side. This is a really interesting post for the knight. It's watching over a base point. It is struck out. King play. Reposition the knight to h4. It's a bad bishop, but I think the bigger factor here is king safety. And this guy, I don't know, where is he safe? Nice, with a check, and then he's going to give up. He's going to get a couple pawns. Very important sacrifice to be familiar with, and now he's going to get some material here. Rook takes, bishop takes, there's a fork-a-roni. Okay, black is going to win this one. He is... well, he has this passed pawn to work with, and now we'll be pushing through next. Yeah, I was going to say this position here, these little tricks to knock out 2 pawns, giving up a minor piece to get the 2 pawns is keep the queens on the board. A nice tactic to be familiar with, a nice sacrifice to go for. All right, Ali Reza, he's in the number 2 spot. Let us see. Only 20. This tournament always flies. 21 minutes to go. What is going on here? I think you would have pawn takes if knight takes knight. I don't know. I think white is better here. I love this knight. I like the center. I liked the center. Just dropped a pawn. Was that on purpose? Get the knight here? I guess not. I thought maybe move this rook and then do something like that. There's a problem here. Oh, he just dropped. Oh. He didn't calculate rook takes rook first. He's just looking at this and getting that. But, queen? Wow. What is going on with this game? It's balanced materially after all this? No, black is up a couple pawns. That was a wild sequence. Wow. Okay. Watch out for checks. He's out of the pin. The king's going to run a little bit. He's got some security. If you take the pawn, it would force a queen exchange. It's forcing a queen exchange like this. So black will go on to win the king and pawn ending. White knows it. White resigns. 138, 123, 110. A big battle for third. Yes. A big battle for that third spot. A few guys in the mix. Mynheer, you gonna try g5 again? No, don't give up that pawn this time. Let us see. Where's this king gonna go? With these guys advance, he's going all in. He's going right after the king's throat. And has been successful with breaking down the king side some. And I think that was mandatory. Otherwise, white gets this in and then puts a knight on this square. Bishop's eyes are opened. Huh. Tough one to assess here. He's trying to undermine c5 with this a5 break, but the two pawns are still around. Queen has to stay defensive. Well, black has some nice activity at any point, you know. Queen could get active and then somehow coordinate over here. Okay, both sides with a passer. Knight is hit. It's defended for the moment. He's winning that pawn now. Is queen getting active here, or is she just kind of out of play? Well, she could be challenged, was challenged. Up on the clock, not the first time Mynheer has been up on the clock. That thorn pawn is now a goner. There are checks. Oh, just drop the bishop. Check, bishop block. Bishop block, I guess e4 would be played. This was not a move. The queen was defending. Queen has a responsibility on f7. This pawn is just a step away. Perpetual if white wants it. Does white want more? Threat here is to give a check and then go there. Okay, queen is there to defend. Rook is hit. Can't go too far. Need to defend. Okay, there goes the passer. The clock. Ah, and he simplifies to a king and pawn ending. He should get this one. 4 seconds should be plenty. Yep, there goes the g-pawn. A queen on board. Mate and a couple. There it is. He got the W. Back to tournament 142, 125, 112, 108, 17 to go. 17-point lead. Zavin Chessmood. Again. First game was a draw. How did that one go? Yes, the opposite colored bishop game. All right. Black is up pawn. What does white have? Rook activity. A square on d5. Threat on h7. Bishop pair now for white. Clearly going all in with this move. There's no big mystery behind rook to g1. If you're not playing g4, there's, something wrong. It's the consistent follow-up. That is the plan. There was a piece won by white. I missed that while I was staring at a rook. Light squares are a problem, a big problem. Queen here, and that's the ball game. Queen exchange, also mate threat. Queen's off, and it's basically still game over. Ha! Take here, there's check and then checkmate. Also, this is a threat. No good solution to it. Okay. A W. Fast pairing Giga. Next opponent, who's in 38th. Okay. I don't know. This started out as a Sicilian. We didn't have the C and D pawn exchange, so it feels more like a Benoni. A passed pawn for white. And what do we do from here? Okay, not usually the best blockader. Queen on d6. Ah, nice move. King takes, then there'd be a capture on g4. Well, black is winning a piece by inserting that check and then taking here. So a miscalculation. It looked flashy. Maybe too flashy here. That knight takes f7 move. Lost a piece. Castling by hand now. Grab a pawn. Allow this check. No. Okay, he's gonna get this check. He's gonna get some material back. But black has nice coordination at the end. Oh, he has to go for that. If he goes here, there's captures. The pieces are hanging in the end. Knight on d7. Check here, maybe. Okay, g5. That's sharp. Queen takes. In the end, we are balanced after all of that. Now we stare at the clocks. Wow. Whoa. He could have played here and got the piece back. Oh, but in the end he would have still been down a pawn if it simplified to king and pawn ending. Okay. White is winning, but not good news on the clock. Not enough time. No. Not happening. Carlsen won. 146, 150, 131, 116, Ali Reza, next opponent. 1 versus 2, we have a Sicilian. What kind? Sveshnikov. He's bringing his world championship preparation against Caruana to these bullet games, maybe. Let us see. C5, B4 nearby. This is backward. Not really a great way to target it. The queen can't step up. She has a responsibility. It's getting broken down some in the center. I think you have to go for that now. There is that in-betweener. And then he may just end up losing. That pawn would be hungry. Pac-Man mode, knight, queen, maybe rook. Black is the better side. These are two... Hang on. I missed this idea to break in the center with d4, that knight circling around to c2 to facilitate the d4 move. So challenging the strong bishop on e3. So watch out for mates. Queen here, a push. No, there isn't any capture. Balanced on the clock. Minor piece ending. This pawn should be one? No, I think black is better here. Or, I'm sorry, white is better here because of this strong knight. This is a better minor piece. The king can't enter. Yeah, look at the knight. Look at the coordination between knight and pawn. You form this wall, and now it's simplifying into a 1 king and pawn, ending Ali Reza with the W. Having a fantastic tournament. He is also over 3,000. 3,020. 150, 135, 116 peacefully. Next opponent only, what, maybe 5, 6 more games to go in this tournament. Okay, let's see. Peacefully also having a very good tournament. Top 10 player. Let's see. Thing I see in this position is that this guy is outside the chain, this guy is not. White can try to play against this guy. Make him struggle, make him a non-factor in the position. So queen takes, we've met with this, losing the knight in the end. So the knight is secure. This may fall, and these guys may run. How do you defend this? It's hit twice, defended 0. I think it's a gunner. There are counter punches against the knight now, if rook here. Knight is under fire. Can we get some security for this pawn? We do have that. Bishop's defending. Could offer a queen exchange. Now the queen's going to stick around, hit the rook. She's also there to support a7. Rook is challenged. Okay, queen and knight. It's defended. Sacrifice on this square? Perpetual if you take it. Oh, wow. Okay. Takes the rook with check, ready to promote with check. And now there's a bishop check getting out. Oh, he got a counter check. This is a cool game. It's going to be a draw. What a cool sequence. The draw on board. This knight is pinned, so... And you have to go for it. This guy's going to promote. What a cool sequence that was. Love that game. All right, Munir. Again. Maybe more games against Munir than any other player in this tournament. Certainly up there. 5-1. Game 7 right now. Okay, how are you completing development? The threat here was to win the bishop, queen e2, and you'd have to block. So the queen moved, there's a square for the king now. Yeah, but what are we doing if we castle kingside? Crying, maybe. Very soon. Okay, he's going to book towards the queen side. His queen might be short on squares. Watch out. A3, B4. There's more exciting stuff happening. He doesn't care about losing G2. I want a queen on D6 and I want to threaten mate. What's your queen doing on A5? Centralize? Take the bishop? The little flash? You take here, I take there. Mate. Mate. What was this move about? I wasn't... Was he thinking the queen was defending here? I totally missed that this was even a threat. Yeah, you're threatening mate. Okay. Down he goes. Checkmate on board. Whoa! You kidding me? Ali Reza is... Whoa! He's only 6 points back from first. This is not a runaway. What? Did he just come up the ranks like... Okay, big game right here. If Ali Reza wins this, he's only 2 back, I think, and he would have fire. A couple more wins after that, and he might walk away with this. Wow! Wasn't at one point a 19-point edge for Carlsen? Anyhow, what is going on here? Let us see. Strong pawn center for black. A fork threatened. If you push, you give up a big square. He's okay with that. He's targeting now F3. White's okay with doubled pawns because this would create an open file. Problem here. The white rooks are playing, the black rooks are not. Wow. So greedy. That A pawn. He can afford to just grab that pawn and return. And later on say, I'm going to win a king and pawn ending. Careful. Careful, careful. This bishop's eyes can be opened up. Look at the clocks. 10-second edge for white. Oh, this bishop is a prisoner. Will he ever get out? The knights. Can they be challenged? He really wants to do this. Who belongs here? Who's better? Look at the clocks. It's evening out now. It's not a 10-second. He's just going back and forth. And now the knight is amazing. Okay, he's up the exchange. Black is up the exchange, but white has an amazing knight. The queen has to stay here. Is it going to be a sneaky move? Where would there be a sneaky move? Rook here. The pawn is bolting. 6.2 seconds each. Whoa, this guy's passed here. How did that happen? The queen's deflected. The knight is there to stop the pawn. I have no idea how this one's going to end. White can pre-move. You can't break down the light squares. Carlsen lost on time. Whoa. What are the standings? 153, 152 with 5 minutes to go. We have another pairing. Rebecca Harris. It does not get any easier. Whoa. Ali Reza from nowhere. What a game. I love that one. Ooh, that was a good one. An amazing night on E4. You know, at some point, I think Ali Reza just said, you know what? I have nothing here. I'm just going to move as fast as I can. I'm just going to stare at the clock and make sure not a second comes off of it. Whoa. The king is running for his life. Black is up a piece. Not the first time this has happened against these with this pairing. He's up a piece. The king is flushed out into the center. Watch out, check. Could be a perpetual. Is the king going to hide? Here, there's a check here. The queen's prepared to block on f6. Bishop takes pawn, queen takes, and the bishop falls. He may still go for that, though. No, he's not going to go for that. He's just going to drop back to e6. I'm still recovering from the last game. Queen takes pawn is a problem for white. Also, this is not enough as a defense, so he needs to simplify some. I think he could have actually just backed off because queen takes pawn hit with check, and then you could secure the king. Anyhow, I think black has consolidated, but it took some time to figure it all out. He is back 10 seconds. f6 is secure. What are we going to have here? What's going on in Ali Reza's game? That's a question. Queen's off. There's going to be a bunch of checks. Oh, he's going for mate. Oh, the queens are exchanged. 12 seconds to 16. 37. What am I saying? 37? I'm looking at the moves now. Who cares about what move number we're on? What is that move about? Why would you do that? Oh, maybe a mouse slip. Oh, he goes down. And another fast pairing. Where are we at? 153, 152. Ali Reza still with fire. 3:45 to go. How many more games are we going to get in? This is the biggest. This is the closest call for a titled arena. I don't know. I haven't seen one go down to the wire like this. 3:33. This game, one more if you're lucky. Carlsen with back-to-back losses. Whew. Let's see. Let us see. Zavin Chess Mood. I'm gonna have an eye on this next game on the game. The clock here. We'll see how it finishes. Who is he gonna get castled? Here and then here? Can he get the whoa. Oh, okay. He's getting the rook back. The king is running. The bishop wants this oh, what a cool sequence. You take my queen, I'll get yours back after a check. The white is gonna win this one. Give the check first and then take the rook. No, he doesn't want the rook. He just wants to make sure the queens are off or that the king is safeguarded. Wow, what a cool sequence with 2:38 to go. 155 each. Are we getting that pairing? No, Ali Reza is in a game. If Ali Reza wins, he has 159. Carlsen does not have fire. If Ali Reza wins the tournament. Okay, it's in his hands. Ali Reza with a big win. And he will win the tournament. Is Carlsen able to maybe sneak in 2 games? Let's see. Wow, what a comeback. He's down 19 at one point. All right, let's see. Let us see. What's going on with that? Oh, okay. Queen to b6 gets the bishop. A little slow there. A little slow. Now, what Ali Reza wants is probably pairing against Carlsen in the next game. Let's see. Is there enough time to sneak in another game? What is happening with that other game? I want to have 2 boards in front of me right now. Let's see. Only 19 seconds left for Zhigalko. Only a minute 15 left on the tournament. And there's a problem over here, yeah? Needs to simplify. Take this rook, pull this guy away from seeing the king side. Get a square for the king. You need f8. You need to defend f7. 10 seconds for white. This pawn's going to try and be disruptive. Get in h6. This is a problem now. Pawn just going to run? No, he's not going to run. The rook is hit. It's defended 46. This is going to be the last game. They're not going to get another one in. So did Ali Reza win the game? We're going to find out. We are going to find out soon. Yeah, this is going to be the last game. I don't think they'll even get a pairing. Then gets shut down. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Ali Reza won the game, and he's going to win the tournament. He's not going to get a pairing. Not enough time. 32 seconds. He did it. Look at that streak. Nope, not getting another game. 15 seconds. Ali Reza with a massive win. Look at that streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I just jumped. Seems like he had, I don't know, 17 wins, maybe one loss. Wow. Fantastic result. Grandmaster Firouzja. Ali Reza Firouzja taking first place. What a performance. That was amazing. 31-16 performance for Ali Reza. The Doctor with 3,092, and then Opper with 2,984. Wow. That was awesome. Okay. So that's the payout. Ali Reza, enjoy the $500. 200 for second, 125, 75, 50. Let's see all the pages. Wow. What a tournament. Crazy. Crazy. All right, page 1. Page 2. 3. Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen a tournament go down like that. Titled Arena. Whew. That their last game, that last pairing, was the decider. He got it. Ali Reza got into a position where he was able to pre-move a ton. He had that light square blockade, and he burned his opponent's clock. What a finish, man! Ah, Chess Bros is in there. Didn't play the whole thing. Got some games in. Who else? Just going through 332 titled players entered, although not everyone played. So this is how many who actually played at least a game. 244. I'm not going to go any further. Okay. To all the competitors, good games all. Congrats, Ali Reza. That was awesome. Very nice.